I'm Nick Gowing, and in November 1989, I was working as diplomatic editor for Channel 4 News, the Channel 4 in the United Kingdom, producing a 1-hour extended news every evening at 7 o'clock. I'd been in East Berlin for several weeks on and off because of the real pressure that was building against the regime there, the East German regime. A month before the wall came down, I was in the same location, literally 2 meters away from Gorbachev, President Gorbachev, when he came to East Berlin with Honecker, the East German leader, standing alongside him, saying, "This has got to end, this has got to end. We've got to normalize relations. This is not the way we are going to continue." And he was standing so close to me, near the Tomb of the Unknown Warrior, with Unter den Linden in East Berlin, lined with thousands of free youth of East Germany. But the night the wall came down, no one expected it. I can say that with absolute certainty, because on the afternoon of the 9th of November, I was in the garden of a lady called Bärbel Bohley, who was an environmentalist, who was an enemy of the DDR state. And we were in her garden, not far from the center of Berlin, and we were with some diplomats, we were with security people, and undoubtedly some intelligence officers from the main intelligence services of West Germany, who had infiltrated into East Berlin. And none of them had any clue about what was going on. They were asking Bärbel Bohley. And a few hours earlier, I'd been with the British ambassador in East Berlin, Nigel Broomfield, with Hella Pick of The Guardian, the formidable Hella Pick of The Guardian. And we'd been in East Berlin in the Grand Hotel, now known as the Westin Hotel, which was about the only decent hotel. And Nigel, who had a slight stutter and a slight cough, I remember saying to him, and he used to work as a British major in the military, as a spy going around East Germany as part of the British mission in his time in the British military. But I said to Nigel, "Do you know what's going on? Have you any clue?" Nick, I have to tell you, no one knows, hasn't the first idea of what's going on. So what happened later was a shock, a surprise. Was it unthinkable? Probably yes. It's when at 36 Maurenstrasse, which was a facility of the East German government, Gunter Schabowski, a member of the Politburo, turned up. And I was there, and he read a piece of paper essentially saying East Germans can leave, and immediately. You say to yourself, really? Did I hear that correctly? Did I hear the German correctly? Did I understand the German correctly? This was being broadcast live by West German television. And you can imagine the implications. I, working for Channel 4 News, had to make up my mind. It was about 5 o'clock in the evening, what I was going to say in my broadcast for 7 o'clock. And we rushed down through Karl Marx Allee right to the south of Berlin, where we had to edit in silence because of the Stasi threat, a package for Channel 4 News. Did I announce the end of East Germany? I did, but it was a bit of a risk. And I edited it in silence with my colleagues, and I then did the voice track, and then drove back through the dark, because East Berlin was always dark, and it was November, apart from some mediocre street lamps, past the Soviet War Memorial, across the Spree, the river, along all the way along the line of the wall, along to East Berlin's main station, Ostbahnhof. And we came upon an enormous crowd of people standing alongside a bit of wall. And I thought they were going to a football match. And we drove on, and we realized, oh my goodness, and he probably words which were sharper than that. This is people leaving East Berlin in a way which they haven't done since 1961. Extraordinary. Where men and women had once shed blood to try to reach the West, these East Germans filed into the pedestrian crossing point and across the East-West divide. Old hatreds for the security apparatus were temporarily buried. Confused policemen and border guards smiled for once and even engaged in conversation. It was already well past midnight, but time meant nothing. Leaving their Trabant and Wartburg cars strewn across pavements, young and old had to prove it was possible that a member of the Politburo on television was as good as his word.
We live here for 20 years and it's the first day, it's wonderful. We couldn't go yet.
What are you going to do in the West?
Only look and then return.
I've been living here for 5 years and I haven't ever been to West Berlin. So it's the first time I can go there and it's a nice feeling to see it.
Are you going to come back?
Of course.
Most just wanted to go through, to say they had been. Some tried to make plans to visit friends or relations in the dead of night. But with little or no West German money, East German money which has no value in the West, the East Germans knew there was little they could do but sample the smells and sights of West Berlin in the early hours. There was no suggestion that the East German government would suddenly cancel the new travel law. But after the anxieties and disappointments since the refugee exodus began in August, some were not going to waste this sudden opportunity to up sticks and to go west for good. It did not diminish, though, the agony of this last moment of decision. The new East German leadership must have known the risks. The arrival of a squad of armed soldiers underlined nervousness that already this was not quite what they planned, with the additional threat of West Germans trying to storm the wall. But by the early hours, the first signs were hopeful. Within minutes, more often hours, East Germans were coming back, often emotionally, to what they still believe is their home.
We was there 10 minutes.
Only 10 minutes?
Yes.
After all this time?
Yes. We are walking around the streets and we are looking, all we can see.
And how do you feel now?
Wonderful. Wonderful, I can't say anything.
So, at that point, you could see people rushing through the wall, picking up supermarket bags full of food, which were being presented by a big supermarket, which had suddenly shipped a whole load of food and goodies to them. And these parents had left their kids watching television. They then went home. But for me, there were two highlights to the evening. First of all, here it is, a bit of the Berlin Wall. A bit of the Berlin Wall from Eberwalder Strasse. It is literally one of the first pieces, not the classic bit of wall that you know. And I hesitate to even hold it because it's full of asbestos. But you can see the kind of bricks that they built the wall from. This was up in Prenzlauer Berg, which is well up in the east of the city. We came upon it, and literally the wall was being taken apart by people. It's a very heavy brick, and it was very difficult to get it back from Berlin in my baggage many days later. But the second, which is in many ways the most vivid part of it, we were pretty exhausted by 11 o'clock in the evening, but I said, let's try one thing more. And we were staying in the Grand Hotel. We walked, I with my cameraman and soundman. In those days, all the equipment was very bulky. Turned left onto Friedrichstrasse, turned left again onto Den Linden, and walked past the Soviet embassy. No lights burning at all. Towards the wall, which is about a 400-meter cordoned area, which is in a place called Pariserplatz. No Westerners had been there since 1961. Nothing was happening, except we could see through the Brandenburg Gate Wesses sitting on the wall. West Berliners saying, bring down this wall, like Reagan had done, Ronald Reagan had done a few years earlier. And we climbed into no man's land thinking, shit, is this actually a minefield? Is it peppered with minefields and scatterguns? And we kept walking and nothing happened. And even to this day, whenever I go to Pariserplatz, which is now a very public space, whenever I walk under the Brandenburg Gate and see those arches above me, I remember that evening. And I remember the emotions of thinking, are we going to be shot? Because we came upon a platoon of border guards who were yelling, and the lieutenant was yelling into his radio, I need orders, I need orders. We're being invaded. We're being invaded. Do I shoot these people? Do I shoot these people? And for me, the end of East Germany was when he burst out laughing because there was no one to give him an order. And that was the end of East Germany. And I still remember on Potsdamer Platz, which is now full of shiny buildings, but then was a wasteland on the border, which was just to our left. I remember Easterners and Westerners going backwards and forwards, Osses and Wesses going backwards and forwards, and sitting in the middle were two East German border guards with their stamps under orders to stamp people in and out. And of course, no one was taking any notice of them. So it's one of those moments when you say to yourself, I was there when history was made. My goodness, even Helmut Kohl, the German Chancellor, he was in Warsaw that night. He didn't know what was happening. And it happened. Was it unthinkable? Probably yes. Was it unpalatable? No, it was very palatable. An extraordinary evening. And still we're seeing the implications of that in Germany now.